Well, so we have to do the transition. We're here. Mama V, good morning to you.
Morning.
Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, Roland.
Yeah, how's your
Dada
night?
Ruru. Or Daddy Ruru.
Daddy Ruru. That name, eh? Yeah.
Yes. Mamavi continues her theme this week of several shades of green.
Yeah.
And today we're going more
For green, I'm familiar with it. It's just green. I mean,
Yeah.
No, it's in red, gold, green.
Yesterday's was green too, a variation of it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the green, like green, no variation. Like
You want Ghana green?
Like green is green.
You want green?
Green is green.
No, green is not green.
Yeah. But you guys good?
There are probably 800 different shades of it.
Everything all right with you guys?
There are 800,
not bad.
800 shades of green.
Probably. I'm just throwing out a number that I don't know for sure.
How does an individual get like support from China? An individual. Long term, like Mama V.
I know that based on the experience and my interaction with some corporate institutions, they give certain facilities to those who trade with China. So
you're attracted to the whole China.
I like the whole long-term kind of idea.
A big company,
like a century bond.
I'm thinking a dream house, you know, sponsored by China.
No, not that one.
I pay back like
really,
over 100 years.
I think it has to be related.
A friend was telling me that by the time Ghana will finish paying, then Jesus would have returned.
No, but we have to even
give or
put,
take.
but we have to put all this into perspective, because if you look at that agreement, we're supposed to give China value. So we have to put value on the
talking about the bauxite.
Yes, of the bauxite.
Okay.
We are talking about the 50 billion that is, we are yet to even
the $50 billion
the $50 billion bonds.
Century bonds that is being considered by the government of Ghana.
100 years.
Yes, 100 years
50 billion.
to spend. You see, it's not even 100 years to pay back 50 billion that bothers me. I know we will fail at that, but it's 100 years to spend 50 billion. Where does the idea come from? I'm wondering about the chicken or egg situation. Where did the idea come from first?
It's generational thinking.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah.
This is a country that can't even plan 4 years ahead.
No, we are not interested in 4 years. This is money we can blow off in 2 or 3 years. Do so much infrastructure.
Yes.
And I mean, we have to pay back in 100 years.
And
it's long term.
And then what happens to our currency? Will it be going up or down in those 100 years?
We are using that money to solve all those problems.
Think positive.
We are using that money to solve all those problems.
It is well.
Charlie, I'm allergic to using hope as a strategy.
You're not getting 50 billion from anywhere in a short, medium, or even long term. This
All right,
one of
so we're talking
If we are giving 50 billion, do we know what to do with it?
The rest of the West is
we have
also
to qualify
talking
and
about
draw down,
China.
so.
Yeah.
But Africa is certainly excited because we are the center of this, and is good for us. Let's do the newspapers. There's more China in the newspapers.
Reminds me
I'll do the Daily
of
Dispatch
getting
and
miracles,
the
knowing
Finder.
that you have to serve God always to get your miracles going.
Daily Dispatch first, front page of the Dispatch. NDC National Chairman and General Secretary slot. 6 leading members battle it out. Ofuswan Pofo, Dan Abodakpi, Betty Moldidrisu, Alhaji Huru Yahya, Koku Anyidoho, and Johnson Esiedu Nketia. Those are the pictures captured on the front page of the paper. The Economist magazine on Kofi. No, Koku and
Koku leading members.
Mosquito General Secretary. More data on crimes in Ghana contained in today's paper. The paper is advertising on page 6 and 8. Let's continue with the Finder newspaper. Carnage on our roads. 157 perish in July alone, 1,369 killed in 7 months. China promises Africa debts relief, avoid craze for wealth. ADB MD advises service personnel. Maiden licensing bid round to begin in October, and 7 die in road crash in the Bono Ahafo region.
I'll start with the Daily Statesman. It reports 1,600 jobs from LNG deal. That is one of the agreements, the Chinese agreements government signed. NPP saves nation $1 billion, and tribalism tearing NDC apart. Isiedun Ketia laments. Collins Dowders V8 kills 6, also on the front page of the Daily Statesman. He was involved in an accident, but that's how the paper chooses to capture it. The Daily Guide reports FOCAC summit takes off in Beijing, and Auditor-general blows 7.6 million cedis on cars. We'll get details shortly. Linguist.
Who watches the Watchman? This is the Auditor-General we're talking about.
So who audits
Okay.
the Auditor-General?
Yeah.
We'll get details shortly.
Interesting.
Linguist Queen Mother murdered also on the front page, and Zoomlion distributes 500 tracks to MMDAs. Also on the front page of Daily Guide this morning.
Okay, so let me do the Daily Graphic newspaper. It has the front page. Napo applicants start work. 5 modules kick off October 1. We also have 197 out of 204 electrical items substandard, according to the Daily Graphic, and they're quoting the Ghana Standards Authority. Chiami, wife killed at Abradunkwal. So those are the stories we have front page. But on the back page, you have a story of one there. It says lives under threats, and we brought you the story. Albert Sorry bringing to us how farmers and their farmlands really are in turmoil. They have been submerged as a result of the spillage, and it's been rightfully captured on the back page of the Daily Graphic. And Bagri Dam spillway opens NADMO warns of humanitarian crisis. I think we said there's nothing we can do about it. It's a question we've asked on the show, but we don't know. We produce a lot of engineers from Kenya and USD each year. I don't know, but anyway, let's go to the Today newspaper. We can't stop nowhere's water. We have Today newspaper. Mental cases saw in the Ashanti region. The story is on page 3 of the paper, and it has an accompanying picture of Kukwaji Maimenu, who is the Minister of Health. Indum calls for help for local financial firms, and there's a quote yesterday. He was saying that even if one person loses a job in his entity, he's sad. Lots of them apparently have been made redundant. Sank East MCE, Hassan Ayariga, founder and leader of the APC, addressing a press conference at the weekend. So those are the stories pretty much of the Daily Graphic today.
I have the Ghanaian Times and the Business and Financial Times. Banner headline, fake. 96% of imported electrical products substandard. That's according to the Ghana Standard Authority. Very important story. I'll tell you a bit more about later. Also, they report on the gruesome murder of a couple at Abra-Dunkwa. Employment Ministry and workers of collapsed banks are to meet over redundancy issues. There's a picture of the Employment Minister, Mr. Ignatius Bafwewa, on the front page. And China does not support Chinese galamseyers, says the president. And later, I'll tell you why perhaps I think the president may have made a slip of tongue in this particular statement. May have. Also, Business and Financial Times has these headlines. Scrap fertilizer subsidy coupon. Northern Agric Director is saying that. And banks reduce loan books, and this is mainly because investment is now overtaking loans in sources of income for banks. But non-performing loans, of course, are inching up little by little. Also, IMF asks for time to decide on the $2 billion Sino Hydro deal, as in deciding whether or not it should be added to our debt stock. And Consolidated Bank could close down 100 branches. That is also on the front page of the Business and Financial Times.
Well, truth is, but let's start with a story of this front page story of the Daily Graphic. NAPCO applicants start work. 5 modules kick off October 1, and we're told that in excess about 100,000 young people were to be enrolled on the program. And I remember they said they had exceeded even the quotas of about 149,000, they said, who had applied. But apparently, only some 49,642 out of 54,481 successful applicants have accepted their placement. And so it means that the over 149,000 people who applied, those who were shortlisted or who were deemed to have met the requirement or the benchmarks were just 54,481, and then we had just 49,000, a little under, just going through. But they're starting the...
That's to be expected. A lot of people apply for jobs.
Yeah.
Not all of the persons meet what is required exactly.
On the other hand, not all the individuals show up to take up the appointments.
Yeah, some people would get employment elsewhere.
Right.
So
And they've been put up in Civic Ghana, Revenue Ghana,
Civic Ghana,
Education Ghana, Enterprise Ghana, and Digitize Ghana modules of the program. What the story doesn't tell us, though, is in which regions are they located? Because we
are
need
told
to
each
know.
model is operating in all the districts across the country.
Yes, we know, but we need to know the numbers,
The
where they
breakdown.
are swelled up.
so how they've been distributed.
I think that will also help a great deal for us to know.
But
how,
it kickstarts October 1.
Yeah, October 1.
How would we be able to identify them, or they would be normal?
Well, according to the story, they'll
You
be
have to have
Workers.
certain
identified.
outfits.
They'll be identified per what the normal identification is for NAPCO, and then they'll
So
be
there'll be a
accepted. Giving,
NAPCO identification.
You want to be able to identify
they'll be
NAPCO
given
staff.
some orientation as
Especially if
It's like
I'm
national
looking,
service, you
I'm
have an
looking
ID
out for
card.
the
Yes,
those
but-
in the educational sector who will be given extra
not
classes.
staff
for
of
it.
the
I think Mama B is
You
talking
have
about
to be-
identifying them on site, right? Or you mean
So I'm asking, is
Or
it
form
would it be easy to identify them on site?
Okay.
but why national service personnel who are posted to schools?
No. These are not national service persons.
We want
Yes,
to,
but
we want
these
to
are
be sure.
These are-
NAPCO. What's the? Yeah, I'm
Nation
just
builders for-
asking. Would they be?
Yeah, but
So would there be a prescribed attire, for
What's-
instance?
No, not
And
this
would
one. Not
there
like
be-
what is the distinction?
Would you have the?
youth
What is
would
the
you have
distinction
your-
between NAPCO and national service that makes you want to be able to see visually
I'm
immediately?
not comparing the two.
Yeah, I am. And I'm saying they are the same.
One is post-national service.
So I'm saying that in terms of the role they play in workplaces, they are the same. So why would you want to see a NAPCO person in a uniform?
I'm not
that
saying
would
I
make
want
you-
to see. I'm asking.
Yes, why are you asking?
I'm asking. We ask a lot of questions. What's wrong in asking?
All with reason, don't we? That's why I'm asking what your reason is.
Let's do
Because
this
anyway.
story from the Daily Guide. The Auditor-General blowing some 7.6 million cedis on cars. Parts of the story are told that the vehicles comprises 5 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, 1 Toyota Land Cruiser V8, and 21 Toyota IMV Hilux Deluxe. Now, the part of the story that is important is that it says although the procurement of the vehicles went through the Public Procurement Authority, the expenditure was well above the threshold of the Auditor-General as well as the Entity Tender Committee of the Audit Service. The Auditor-General, however, parried the allegations that he procured the vehicles and shifted the blame to his deputy, who he did not name when contacted by the paper yesterday.
So we're talking about Mr. Domolovu
Yes,
direct.
another part of the story says although the sum involved in the purchase of the 27 vehicles was above the entity's approval, so that is the entity that approved it eventually, they said it should have been referred to the Central Tender Board, and that was not done in this particular case.
I'm
So that
thinking
is
Electoral Commission.
what the Daily Guide is talking about, and they make reference to the fact that the Auditor-General is always in the news, talking
So
to the media,
if you live in a
complaining
glass
about,
house, don't throw stones.
a lot
I
of
think
things.
that's
No,
what
we
that's
have
the
a-
import.
We haven't gotten there. I mean,
So
we need to prove that what
Is
they're
this the
saying is
outcome
right.
of an audit? Is that what it is?
No, I think that paper may have intercepted this.
Yeah, some
so
documents,
just
yeah.
wait.
Intercepted a document.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a need for a response. If it was a result
I
of
think
an
we got some
audit,
response, yeah.
okay, if it was a result of an audit, then we could have assumed that
Interrogated
the,
further.
the response is included in the audit. That's how it usually happens. But if it's some document, then let's wait and see. Like Mama B saying, let's wait for some proof.
Truthfully, I one time had my agency did a documentary for the audit service. We went through across the 10 regions all the audit service offices we have in Ghana, and just like the judicial service, they have some of the poorest structures we can find. They don't
Roland,
have
just quickly, the
facilities in
response from the
regions,
Auditor
etc.
General's office.
Yeah.
It says he said his deputy procured the vehicles. He, however, did not name the deputy. Asked whether the governing board was aware of the purchases, he said by law, the board does not have the mandate for procurements. Explaining further, he said his deputy might have gone to the Central Tender Board for approval for the procurement of the vehicles. Pressed further on allegations that the Entity Tender Board of the Audit Service approved the purchases, he declined further comments on the matter. So that is the engagement the Daily Guide had with the Auditor General.
I think the import of the
We should be petitioning the special prosecutor to look into this matter. I think that's what it is, because this is the response that they got from the Auditor General.
Yes.
Yes.
the
So
story
we
is
need,
saying more like procedure was not followed.
Yes.
More
Yeah.
like,
That is what
Yeah.
has landed people in court. We know that the
Yes.
open issue. has
That's
to
why
be
I said
procurement.
Electoral Commission.
Electoral Commission, good.
The example
biggest
was,
one,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if the same thing is happening here,
It's the same public
if the
procurement
same thing is
issue.
happening
Yeah.
here, irrespective of who's
Abaye-
at
Abaye
the
Ezebuti
center
Chidi.
of it.
Exactly, because
Abaye
in fact
is
they said at the EC that she was incompetent
Yeah.
for not properly following
Procurement breaches.
procurement procedures. They also said she had misbehaved. So yeah, it's not a small thing.
But this man is not as
we
important.
should look-
Well,
we
when
should
he-
look into it.
When he keeps attacking people, I'm sure one day they'll get to him. He will find more stories like this, so you should be careful.
I'll go. Okay, well, let's see what they come up with, right?
That is it for the
Okay.
daily guide. Yeah.
I have the Ghanaian Times, and this story, fake. 96% of imported electrical products are substandard. Now, I want us to think about that for a minute. 96% of, and you see, they don't even have to add imported, because in Ghana, what electrical products do we make here? We import them all. So that means today, if you go to a shop, any shop, you buy a kettle, an extension board, a fridge, 96% of the things that you could buy are substandard, according to Ghana Standards Authority. And I think we need to applaud Professor Alex Dodu. He is one of the few heads of institutions in this country who, since their appointment, appears to have been working diligently to actually change something about the space that they occupy and supervise. I know that in addition to this, you know, he's going about the systematic standardization of everything in this country. He even went as far as researching the standardization of balls of kinky. He did research into that, him and his team, to find out whether the sizes of kinky differ from one manufacturer to the other, or even at one kinky manufacturer's basin, whether you will find standardized sizes, or whether in some parts of the country kinky is bigger or smaller. He actually went to those lengths so that, because look, if you don't standardize things, there's no civilization to your trade. Standardization is what civilizes trade, so that if you are buying 10 items, you know that you are getting value for those 10 items.
The figure is mentioning is very threatening. I mean,
96%.
it means if you buy every 10 products, you're not likely to get one. That is actually
chances
of
are
high
not
standard.
one of
Not
your
one of
10
them.
And
products
what's his
will
problem?
be
And they're
standardized.
supposed to make sure these things are certified before they go onto the market.
But isn't that what he's doing?
Even
Nah,
before
but
they
the
come
thing
in,
already
even
on
before
the
they come
market.
into the country, we should be
No,
concerned.
he
about
is saying 96% of
Are they at the
imported.
ports?
So they
You see
have
at the
taken
port,
these.
does he have GSA at the ports?
Does he have GSA?
Do they have
Yes,
Ghana
Ghana
Standards
Standards
Authority
Authority.
officials?
I
at the
think
port
that's
checking
up
in?
to the port management
Yeah,
who
because
have
what
limited.
he's doing is it's too late.
Who have limited
Yeah.
the number
I think
of.
what he's doing is too
The
late.
horses are bolted
How
already.
long has he been in office?
The horses are out there.
Now, what I'm saying is that at the ports, there are only 3 organizations allowed to operate there. Ghana Standards Authority didn't choose which 3.
We should fight so that he'll be there. What
Government
he's
of
doing
Ghana,
is too late.
Government of Ghana made that choice. But you see, without him doing this work to identify this risk, no one will take him seriously when he says, "Put me at the ports." That's the point of this. So now that you know
What he's doing.
yes.
But,
So now that you
but
know,
that's his work. If he has to publicize it before, then we know that he's working. Yes, one. But beyond that, he's empowered, whether he gets the publicity he needs or not, to even not publicize it, to
he's
straight
empowered
away.
to not publicize it.
No, he's empowered to undertake his work and not necessarily publicize this, but more so take his reports or his research findings to the institutions that be, and
And you
make
are
sure
saying
that
he hasn't
make
done
sure
that.
that if he doesn't have representation at the port, he gets there. You see,
So are you
when
saying he hasn't done
could you-
that?
could you-
I don't understand your argument.
My argument
he has
is
revealed
what he
you know,
what he's saying
Uh-huh.
is it's not meaningful. It's not going to have any impact on the lives of the ordinary people who buy these electrical goods and use for their warehouses, wiring their houses, etc. Because
so
how would they identify that a shop that is based in Ashaiman that has ill-equipped or perhaps substandard electrical good, me the consumer or I the consumer would be in a position to know this is a substandard one.
So Roland, you have been told that 96%.
But how would I know on the ground?
Roland,
Everything is on the ground.
let the sentence end. You have been told that 96% of the electrical appliances in this country.
Imported.
Well, they are all imported because we don't make electrical appliances.
No, we have
here.
tropical cables.
I said appliances, not electrical wires.
Crystal as
appliances.
Kantanka, right? Well,
so 96% of the imported ones are substandard. Okay. So I'm not sure about the
it's
point.
96%.
No, it's 96%. Okay. So 96% of electrical appliances in this country, imported into this country.
You're asking me the question.
Please.
I'm also asking the question. So
yet.
me knowing what would
you haven't heard the question yet.
Okay. That's it.
So if someone is telling you that they are substandard, and you, a consumer who buys electrical appliances, who didn't know until today that 96% of them are substandard, you find this information useless.
I think it's useless because on the market, let's say I'm a contractor, I'm working against time. I have to deliver, and I have to go and buy these facilities or these equipment or these raw materials for my wiring. This news doesn't
it's
really...
electrical appliances, not wiring. As for electrical wiring, only 2 companies in this country have been certified as following the correct standards, Tropical Cables and the other one, it will come to me. But there are 2 Ghanaian companies. So by telling you that, he's telling you where to buy your cables. If you want the standard one. If you don't and you want to buy substandard, then you can buy anywhere else. In this case, he's telling you 96% of them are substandard. You say that's useless information to you.
I think so.
Okay.
Because they're already on the, they are in the malls. We have them in the various stalls that they are selling.
So we shouldn't be told that they could cause a fire.
I think that
we shouldn't be told.
I think that he should do something about it instead of just.
He's the Ghana Standards Authority. He manages standards.
I mean,
someone
really,
else.
Many institutions are not working. We have
someone
to
else. By the way, when he did this, he also went with the police to arrest those who were importing
some few of them.
These substandard.
It's normal. We've been talking about wax prints. They are there. High targets. They are there against GTP.
So you don't want to know this?
I don't want to know. I think that we have to enforce the law. We're not enforcing the regulations.
The bigger part of the conversation has to do with a sustainable way of addressing the challenge, which I think Roland is making a point that they are already on the market. So moving beyond the arrest that we may be doing once a while, we should also be concerned about how they get into the country in the first place. And I think it will not be out of place to have the Standards Authority checking when those products are coming in the very first time so that we prevent them from coming in. If we have to confiscate them and ban them, it prevents it from coming in.
I guess I'm also tired of hearing the same things. We put people in places for them to act. We pay you. I mean, we make you comfortable. Why should we be clapping for you because you're doing your job? You get it? Fix it. All right, there's a story in the Finder newspaper, if there's time to continue.
Yeah, there is.
I think the Finder has been doing a great job, by the way, with accident stories, road carnage, and they have one of such on the front page of the paper today. The story itself, page 2, 157 perish in July alone. So the story says that the rate of accidents and the number of casualties have increased in July 2018 compared to the same month last year. The number of people killed has risen to 157 as against the 149 killed in July 2017, representing 5.3% increase. And there is a breakdown. So between January and July 2018, 1,369 have been killed. And there are more males, 124 males and 33 females. Injuries have also increased. The number of commuters injured in July witnessed a 6.6% rise. There's also a drop in pedestrian knockdowns, 15.2% drop, which is a good thing. There's an increase in motorcycles, 0.7%, rise in private vehicle accidents, and then drop in commercial vehicles. So there's a rise in private vehicle accident, but there's a drop in commercial vehicles. A spike in reported cases, and there's a lot more to read in the paper. I'll leave the rest for you to read. There's also an interesting story of a guy who's unemployed who swindled an ECG official. So he doesn't have a job, but he pretends he wants to buy your vehicle that you're selling, and then he wants to test drive. So usually the owner would go with the person who wants to buy, but he would say at some points that he wants to do the driving. So when you're changing position, you're getting down from the passenger seat to come to there. Then he just...
I think this story brings to mind a WhatsApp caution that was being shared. I think it was from the Ghana Police Service, I believe. And it says the modus operandi for criminal these days were something like this.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes they take you onto a long highway. So if it's in Tema, they'll take you onto the Shai Hills Road, and then in the middle of somewhere they'll say, "Mami sumin filikane," you know, that kind of thing.
As soon as you
so immediately you get down, and they before you,
So this will happen, but the guy has been arrested. So you might want to get in touch with the Nungwa police station so that. Because he's done it to, I think, 2 people. One person went and identified the same guy. So if this has happened to you...
So he's been caught?
He's been caught, yes. You can...
He's not even smart.
Contact the police.
And go and check. Maybe your vehicle will still be parked at his residence.
Okay.
Fortunate.
So that's it. Any other stories?
Yeah, actually, the president said in the Ghanaian Times that China does not support Chinese galamseyers. And I said... I wonder whether the president perhaps had a slip of tongue there, because the Chinese government is not a democracy. It's a communist government, and the supreme leader, the Chinese premier, well, their government doesn't operate like ours. It's not about democracy, and you can do one thing or the other, and the government will either support you or not support you. If the Chinese government wants something to stop, they order it to stop, and it stops. And if you do it, you find yourself in jail. In some cases, perhaps even executed for doing something that the government has not sanctioned. So if the Chinese government actually does not support galamsey in Ghana, galamsey will stop. It's as simple as that. But the president telling the Ghanaian community in China that the Chinese government does not support Chinese galamseyers, it appears that the president perhaps may have wished to use a different phrase, because support...
So he was telling the Ghanaian community?
Yes. They were talking about...
Well, we had an insight of him this morning, and he was addressing the Chinese premier.
Yeah,
as
this
well
is
as
one of the
others.
things they talked about.
And he was saying that he was not going to condone, and that if the agencies in Ghana were cracking the whip, it doesn't mean that Ghana as a state and government, we don't like the Chinese to come and trade wherever they have to, once they do it lawfully. So I guess it was in that context. So usually, I'm sure it was a briefing, or maybe he was addressing a section.
Yes, but he had met with the Chinese premier.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the things they discussed. There was actually a story about it on Monday, I think. So when he met with the Ghanaians, he was basically reporting to them, look, these are the things we talked about. The Chinese premier says he doesn't support Chinese people who are doing illegal mining in Ghana.
We can't do anything.
But those who are doing it legally, he wants government to support them with to protect them, authorities to protect them from attacks and so forth. But it's just this idea that the Chinese premier is saying, I don't support it. That is interesting to me, because if Chinese citizens are doing something that the Chinese premier doesn't want them to do,
he would have, because he has the power, but only the will is not there.
Well, yes. Perhaps
we have to do myjoyonline.com. We have a couple of stories, and ex-presidential staff had to contest the NDC Deputy General Secretary position, and killed Caesar. I hope I pronounced the name right. Non-performing loans hit 8.7 billion Ghana cedis. Well, what about the stories?
Oh yes, including this one. Nurses and midwives threaten solidarity strike on the 10th of September. And also, further hints of legislation to make education compulsory. And yes, well, the Constitution kind of expects that, doesn't it? Especially at the basic level. Ex-UBS trader, Adeboli, detained and faces deportation.
I called the British High Commission yesterday. I want to be there to receive him when he's coming.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah, he's my...
It's not like he's homeless in Ghana. His father lives here.
I know. He's my pen pal.
Oh, okay.
On Facebook.
Villagers flee, farmers furious, farms flattened over another Bagre Dam spillage. Someone in myjoyonline.com using all their alliteration for the year in that one headline. Also, Yamin Outdoors NDC vigilante group, the Hawks. Hey, now we are outdooring vigilante groups. Vigilante groups. So
Freedom of association.
Have you heard his song, by the way? Somebody did a song.
For him.
that video.
Yeah.
The one saying that if he was in an
It's a
Indian
video.
movie. It's the funniest thing.
Charlie.
Right, one more story on myjoyonline.com, and it says skyscrapers, trains and roads, how Addis Ababa came to look like a Chinese city.
Don't they owe China a lot of money?
Yes, in fact, do you know,
Or the government?
$147 billion dollars is how much the Chinese has lent to Africa since the year 2000.
And it's interesting how the Western
Yeah, there's
portals are
some
reporting it. The BBC, DW, they're all
DW,
complaining.
everybody's talking about how much in indebtedness, how much we owe China
Yes.
as African countries.
What we're reading about Kenya, they say 72% of Kenya's debt is owned by China.
Yes.
So in terms of their total debt. And we ran a story on Joy FM this morning about some senators in the US writing to the IMF, complaining about how the Chinese are giving loans to people, because US, they say, is the largest contributor to the IMF. So these people end up becoming debt distressed and they have to run to the IMF again.
Okay.
But we know for a fact that it's a superpower fight.
So this
US.
write-up by the DW says that Kenya, by comparison, received $5.2 billion. Its public debt reportedly stands at $50 billion, with 72% owned by China. The East African state has a reputation for borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
And this was written in July 2018. At the time, the Chinese premier was in Africa. And, you know, that's another part of the thing. You know, at that time, Donald Trump was losing the global dominance war. You know, he was everybody's enemy. You know, I think he'd been to Europe and snubbed everybody and pushed people out of the way to take pictures and all of that. And at that same time, the Chinese premier was going around the world and basically extending his influence through some of these loans with fewer conditions than you would get from a loan that comes from the West. But yes, you're right, it's a global football game they're playing, and they just want to retain dominance over
But some
Africa.
countries are walking away from their deals with China. Other countries are walking
some
into it.
countries currently in
We
this
have a
very
little time to do
discussions
the
of
BBC
rescinding
before we
it.
run off.
To go.
Right, if you want cash,
All right, there's soldiers spared
digging
no
your
part of
hole.
my body. So Bobby Wine is in the US. He's that musician turned MP who was arrested, detained, and then, you know, now he's been allowed to go to the US for treatments. And he's sharing his story on Facebook largely.
They can speak from
They
US
only,
now.
exactly, they only speak when they are out of their
It's
countries.
safer there. It's safer there.
Okay, so that's the Chinese president denying funding African vanity projects. Dozens of elephants killed in Botswana. 8 dead in South African what's that? Munitions blasts. Okay, but there's a story that's widely reported. It's in Rio de Janeiro, where Brazil's National Museum has gone up in flames. It's just a circumstance surrounding the fire, which reminded me very much of where I come from in Africa and in Ghana. So there were no hydrants, no water in the
And in
hydrants
Brazil, they didn't have
immediately around where the museum is. I mean, unbelievable, because you know that's a situation familiar with me here, but I didn't think. And they say
in fact,
It shows that we're
lots
not the
of-
only incompetent people
the
around
museum
world.
had been underfunded for many years, and so they're already blaming government for this. But yeah, well,
200-year-old national museum with lots of things that.
And then before we go, you know the gentleman who plays for the plays American football, and then decided to kneel down when the national
Oh,
anthem.
yeah.
He hasn't been hired by any team.
Yes.
And
He's
his
kind of
legal-
motivational speaker now.
Yeah, and his legal team says there is a conspiracy by the teams. But he's been given a contract, actually has been paid by Nike all this while. You know,
wow.
Back in the day when we were younger, there used to be these Nike with the brand name Just Do It, with that whole campaign that they had. It's 20 years now or 30 years now, and he's called Colin.
Oh, okay.
And
I think he also
they've given him a big contract.
He also gets support from some of the celebs.
Yes,
they give
a
him
lot of
funding
it.
so
They
that
give
he
him
can go
funding.
on and do
Yeah.
education.
And look, the
Yeah.
guy, they are predicting he'll be hired very soon by a football team.
Yeah, we wait to see
Yeah,
over
yeah.
Trump's dead body, by the way. We've got more sports coming up. I'm sad because Federer is out of the US
It's
Open.
normal.
I
He's
mean, the
achieved a lot.
weather
It's okay.
contributed to that defeat,
They're bad.
but you know, but Serena, the weather, I may, but Serena Williams is still in there, so you know, yeah, I still have hope.
She wore a tutu a couple of days ago, didn't she, when she played her...
She's like Cinderella.
Tutu line.
in the US
Uh,
Open.
no, she tutu.
All right, stay with
Tutu,
us.
when they say tutu, like, what does it mean?
Google.
Okay. Tutu. Who say tutu? Tutu.
Not the Archbishop, the
Ah.
skirts, the ballet skirts.